The top NFL free agents left is made possible by Magic Spoon. Get $5 off your first order of this healthy and incredibly tasting, delicious cereal when you go to magicspoon.com/chat. The maple waffle, by the way, smells incredible. Get $5 off your first order at magicspoon.com/chat. You can smell it all the way through the still closed box. That's how strong and pungent that delicious smell is. All right, to the top free agents, right? Number 1, Cam Newton. He went from starting for the Patriots, in theory, to being a free agent. Now, I don't know what Newton's plan is going to be. He could choose to wait, see if there's an injury somewhere, then slide in. Or maybe he just says, you know what, I'll go be a backup in a certain spot. I don't know what he will elect to do. Also, there is this very real thing with his vaccination status. That could be an issue. NFL teams, if they've got a critical part of their quarterback, they don't want to have their backup quarterback end up resulting in either the quarterback getting declared out for a game and or sick, or the quarterback getting a breakthrough case and the backup being out because he's a close contact. That's a bad situation for an NFL team. So Newton, talent-wise, unquestionably, is one of the top 40 at minimum. Like, he's still a contributable NFL player. He also offers plenty of run ability, although I wonder if the run ability has led to some decline in the passing because he's taken a just absolute beating over the years. So yes, Cam Newton, the player, still contributes, still helps an NFL team. It's the injuries, it's the passing regression to an extent, and the vaccination status too that could be an issue. Somebody should still sign Cam Newton. The Ravens, I like as a good fit there. But what do you guys think? Where will Cam Newton end up signing? Get your votes and predictions in for me in the comments section. Number 2, Russell Okung. If you're a bit surprised he's unsigned, me too. Now, injury a factor here, as it is for so many of the guys on this top 15 list. He's played in 13 games in the past 2 years. He's also been a 2-time Pro Bowler. Allegedly, reportedly, Okung wanted big-time money to start at left tackle, and teams were like, no, you're coming off of injury. Now he's unsigned. At this stage, I think Okung will choose to wait and see, hey, is there an injury somewhere? Does he end up being the guy somewhere else? Do they try to play the waiting game and decide, hey, can we find a position where, you know, there's an injury to a starting left tackle somewhere, and then they look at their depth chart and they go, oh my God, it's terrible behind him. And then they decide to sign Russell Okung. That particular route, I think, makes a lot of sense for Okung and for an NFL team. I don't think he wants to be a backup tackle right now. So if he wants to play the waiting game and then be healthy for an entire season, that could make a lot of sense for Russell Okung. All right, next up, number 3, John Brown, the former Las Vegas Raiders receiver. Surprise roster cut by Vegas. Now, he battled injuries last year. As you can tell by his stats, wasn't that impactful. 2019, however, John Brown was a much better football player and made a much bigger impact. Over 1,000 yards. It's not often that there is a guy 1 year removed from a 1,000-yard season who is a free agent. And there are several teams that should have some semblance of interest in adding John Brown. I wonder if teams are waiting for this, though. After week 1, vested veteran contracts no longer become fully guaranteed. I think you'll see some movement on this list after week 1. Now, this question is our pinned comment on today's video. Meaning, if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll down, head to that pinned comment, and answer this question. Who do you believe is the best NFL free agent left unsigned? Next up is Mitchell Schwartz. Based solely on his talent level, he should be number 1. But I docked him down a little bit, plus some other linemen that we'll discuss, because I don't know if he actually plays this year. When he's been healthy, there have been maybe a handful of better right tackles in the NFL than Mitchell Schwartz. The issue is the medical is a major red flag. And I just wonder if he's not physically able to play anymore. Because a team should have signed him. Nobody has. That makes me question the medical pretty substantially. The same is true of David DeCastro. Now, when he was cut by the Steelers, everyone was like, wait, what? Why? He's good, right? Well, injuries, also a big-time factor here, and he might end up retiring. Now, maybe he makes that call next year, gives himself a full season to get fully healthy. When healthy, he is at minimum a starting caliber guard, which there are not enough of those in today's NFL. The O-line play, normally not great. But the medical for DeCastro and Schwartz is a big-time question mark. Number 6, Richard Sherman, who was in our top 25 for much of the season, or the offseason, I should say, excuse me. But now, there was a very slow market to start. No one picked him up. And then the stock took a nosedive after his arrest and misdemeanor charges following his July incident. And I have no idea now if Richard Sherman is going to play this year. Talent-wise, I would argue that Sherman, DeCastro, and Mitchell are all among some of the most talented players left in free agency. But because of the question marks off the field, I grouped them together because I don't know if they're going to play. So who do you think is most likely to play this year? MS for Mitchell Schwartz, DD for David DeCastro, or RS for Richard Sherman? Number 7, another injured guy, Olivier Vernon. He was awesome last year. 9 sacks, a bunch of tackles for loss, had an awesome season. He was going to get paid a bunch of money, and then in January, tears his Achilles. And the fact that Vernon, even though he's on the wrong side of 30, is still unsigned after a 9-sack season, indicative to me of medical issues. Healthy guys, even at age 30 off a 9-sack season, do not wait till September to sign unless they're unhealthy. So we'll see about Vernon, but if he does get cleared and is able to play and returns to form, someone is going to get a steal. Number 8, Geno Atkins. He has been medically cleared by the Cowboys team doctor who did his surgery for his shoulder. The issue for Atkins isn't just the injury. It's that the decline has set in. Now, he fell out of favor with the Bengals really the past 2 years, but his production level has not been remotely what we remember from the Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle. At this stage, in both the season, with both where he's at in his career, and with the injuries, I don't think Atkins is worth much more than the vet minimum deal. The Seahawks brought him in for a visit. We'll see who else shows interest, if anyone, as the season moves along. You guys can get $5 off your first order of the number 1 healthy and tasty cereal out there at magicspoon.com/chat. This stuff, high in protein. 13 grams of protein, 4 grams of net carbs. I broke 80 on the golf course for the first time in months. I think it's because I ate my Magic Spoon beforehand. There's a direct correlation there. It also got 0 sugar, so I didn't feel kind of gross and bloated a little bit either. It's the perfect blend of health and taste. Tons of flavors. I had the frosted that morning. It was incredible. They've got fruity, they've got cocoa, they've got peanut butter, they've got all kinds of stuff. So go try your first box, or maybe get a 4-pack, and save $5 in the process by going to magicspoon.com/chat. Number 9, safety Trey Boston. I have officially grouped Boston in what I call the Desmond King category. Players I think are pretty good. I think most people would agree with me, but the NFL does not feel the same way. A starting safety from last year who's a free agent, it's a bit rare. So I don't think the NFL is as high on Boston as I think some other people are as well. So some difference of opinion there from that point. Number 10, our little running back stretch now. First up is Todd Gurley. All-Pro in 2017, All-Pro in 2018. He ain't that guy anymore. He ain't that guy. He is not remotely that caliber of player. The injuries have added up. Just 3.8 yards per carry in 2019 and 3.5 last season. Down the stretch, the back half of the season for the Atlanta Falcons last season, Todd Gurley, he couldn't move, man. He was getting like 2 yards per carry a game. Genuinely, I could get that. Now, I would die after my first couple hits, but I could do it over 5 carries or so. Todd Gurley did not look like the same guy that we all loved at the beginning of his career with the LA Rams. I think that a culmination of injuries over the years have really begun to add up for Todd Gurley. And I wonder if he's pretty much cooked. But I still think somebody at some point gives him one last shot. Now, if you guys want updates on these top free agents, if you want the news, the rumors, the trade buzz, and all kinds of NFL coverage this season, hit that big red button and subscribe today. That way you don't miss out on anything here at Chat Sports. Number 11, a first ballot Hall of Famer, Adrian Peterson. He says he still wants to play. Peterson, I do believe, can still play. His numbers bear that out. Just under 4 yards per carry. Better than TODD GURLEY. Here's the problem, and this is just life in the NFL. It's a miracle Peterson's lasted as long as he has. 36-year-old backs who do not contribute that much on passing downs and offer you no special teams value don't often get signed. There is an ageist thing in the NFL. If you don't help on special teams, you're not going to make it as a number 3 back. Adrian Peterson is definitely one of the top 90 backs in the NFL. But that's not how the back of rosters are formed. Teams go cheap and they go young. That is not Peterson. But if somebody gets hurt, I bet he's one of the first names that get talked about in team front offices. Number 12, Lev Bell. Since his time with Pittsburgh, he's just not the same, man. Now, he does offer third down ability, but his time with KC didn't end that well. I think that's a red flag for the teams because didn't end well with Pittsburgh, didn't end that well with the Jets, didn't end that well with KC. Now, Antonio Brown got one last chance in Tampa. Who's going to bring in Lev Bell, if anybody? Again, this might be a wait for an injury situation. So I think Bell can still help, but I think he might have to wait a little bit longer. Now, of the big 3 backs still available, sorry, LaShawn McCoy, pick one for me. Type LB for Lev Bell, type TG for Tiger, or type in AD, his real nickname, not AP. It's AD, guys, for Adrian Peterson. Receiver time, Kenny Stills. Now, injured last year, ineffective as well. He's not that far removed, though, from being a dangerous deep threat wide receiver. Even 2019, over 500 yards on 55 targets. That's not that bad. The problem is, at his age and his lack of efficiency over his NFL career and consistency, he just might be what he is at this point, and I don't think there's that much value for an aging vertical threat, unless your name is Deshaun Jackson. Number 14, D. Jackson's old teammate, ALSHON JEFFERY. The injuries have become a major problem. The production, the play has dipped for years. And this might sound crazy. ALSHON JEFFERY has not had a 1,000-yard season since 2014. That's a long time for an alleged number 1 receiver to not be productive. Even in 2019, he wasn't that good. So, big name. Injury's a problem. I wanted to mention because I think everyone knows the name ALSHON JEFFERY than some of the other not great free agents out there. He's not the same guy he was in his prime. He's not even close to it in the end. Because of that, I don't know if there's going to be that much interest in Jeffrey right now. But if you have to pick one of these guys, who would it be? Type KS for Kenny Stills. Type AJ for ALSHON JEFFERY. One last defensive player, KAWANN Short. And injuries, again, a very common theme on this list. That's why they're available with days until the season begins. Major injury issues. 5 games in the past 2 years. In the past 3 years, he's had just 3 sacks, putting up an average of 8 in 2015, 16, and 17. Is he worth a flyer? Sure. Is he a solution long-term? I don't think so at this point in his NFL career.